this year in Makwaba about Akroma TV so it will be asked so then if you out Akroma TV so watch here. Na by election a course so Asim North a home and 7 and I deblemo. Na and 70 be near ye bushy and I say they make a 10 airport Ura for Adom Okyere Akache Akotie and someone okay and as a good dear a white born thing walk say NDC for and Ukrasun Crase Ekika and Sam Ebu amount for Asum Ewo Asim North Etro Mose and I'm say Ura that you crazy on pese obeji tumu atumu ne sayentina ya pamono afri mrashe bedwom anase e na court Ura for Adom Okyere and I'm say sansem na NDC for ekoka ewo Asim North no eno na ato oman no etrim anase nkofo ewo oman no etrim and I'm saying so tina ya to ya ba ama Ura that you crazy odio no yesaka bi for your mama tea.
The NDC are confident that you cannot close a 13,000 gap with the polling stations.
One, they used sympathy votes. Two, they came to lie here that the president had approved for gay LGBT to go on, and they were going around saying that when we approve the Charles to come into government, we are going to get the majority to make sure that the bill is passed. And these were all lies on ground. You see, so I wasn't expecting much.
Is that not part of politics?
It's not. Lies are not part of politics. We don't use lies. We believe in doing. Our projects are there to speak for itself. We had over 150 projects done. Over 90 of them had already been commissioned and they are ongoing. About 30 of them are still being worked on. So it tells you that we've worked. But at the end of it all, they had the lies to tell. They had the.
But it means that the people don't like the LGBT. Is that what this results will be showing us?
You see, when you come and you keep on hammering, and they used pen drives, and they were just talking about that and so many things that they could lie about. Yes, you can counter some of them, but how much can you do that when they keep on sinking? And they believe in one thing, that say it all the time, and the people will get to believe it. That was what they were doing. But we still worked hard. We went on ground. We were working. They did everything they could. We also did everything we could. I believe that at least it could be a close gap.
The reasons why the NDC won the election, you didn't add the LGBT. For our analysis, that seems to be where the election turned around.
No, the election wasn't won on the basis of just LGBTQ, but the intent, the posturing of governance, a government, when it comes to issues of LGBTQ, is part of the reason they lost. But what is more important?
What is the posturing of government?
The posturing of government is not clearly is shrewd when it comes to their position on whether or not government is supporting LGBTQ or government is against it. And so we feel that one of the motives and the reasons why government is pushing and persecuting the Chikwesen is for them to redefine parliament so that all these things can be done. But what is more important is about bread and butter. Paul, MPP never campaigned about bread and butter. They could not put food on the table of the people. There is hardship in this country. People cannot pay their bills. And so when you put politics on one table, when you put hunger on the other side, hunger obviously dictates a decision of a person. And so Ghanaians have decided that it's enough that this president continue to impoverish us, and on the other side, giving a narrative and a picture as if everything is okay. And so that is what did the magic for us. The third reason is that the personality of Chikwesen himself played into this election. He is sober, he's a man of peace, he has humility, candor in himself. And so how he conducted himself also played out in this matter. Then the unity at the NDC front. You've seen His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he has come to lead the campaign himself. You've seen the national chairman of the NDC, you've seen the general secretary, national leadership are here, the regional executives were here, MPs who have done a yeoman's job. They showed solidarity. They went all out for this election. And that, for me, it rekindles our conversation for 2024.
Well, but if you say that the people here have rejected hardship and all that, if you contrast the people here with the people in Kumewu, you will look that they did the same thing. In Kumewu, the MPP won and increased the margin about a month ago. And in Asin, the MPP lost and the NDC increased the margin. Does it mean that Ghanaians are looking at things differently from one angle, and Kumewu looks at something and thinks thumbs up to Akufo-Addo? Asin not looks at it and said down Akufo-Addo. Is that what is happening?
Data dynamics and classifications are very different. when you go to Kumawu, since 1992, NDC have never won a seat there. Ase North is a swing constituency. Kumawu is a stronghold of the MPP. And so they would, comfortably win a seat there, even if they don't do much work. But Ase North is what determines the strength of each of the political parties. So an opposition party against government machinery, they had resources to their disposal. We won against them. And so this is what really determined the balance of effort that went into this election, not Kumawu. Kumawu is a stronghold, but we still did better. They increased by 204. We increased by 1,000 and over. That should give you the gravity of the effort that we put into the two by-elections. For me.
But from the last election, it appeared clearly that Jachi Kwesin is very popular here, and actually more popular than John Dramani Mahama. In 2024, obviously, Jachi Kwesin will be on the ballot. John Mahama will be on the ballot. What is this? Something going to change in the presidential? Is this victory going to get something to change at the presidential level?
The people love Jachi Kwesin. They voted for him. He will go back to them and campaign for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Number two, the damages this government have caused Kenyans right after 2022 is so enormous, Paul, that to tell you.
Was it too late for the MPP to counter that, for Charles Opoku to go and say, I don't support LGBT, I believe in family values? That was it too late?
So it's back and forth.
Or is it that the MPP just didn't bother to look at that?
Potentially, it was as though like the allegation wasn't worth engaging. So in a sense, because it was allowed to perpetuate largely through the masses, perhaps it played a role. It brings to mind, for example, Sam George's concerns against his opponents in the primary, saying that apparently his opponent was a potential LGBT financier. If these narratives are allowed to proliferate, apparently it seems as though they have the opportunity to do damage. Maybe that's what happened.
So that in going forward, should the MPP say, we are also anti-LGBT, we don't like LGBT, if that conversation goes around the country, is it going to then reduce the NDC's campaign portfolio?
Maybe not. But while we're on the grounds, what we're hearing really suggests that a lot of Ghanaians are actually against the LGBT thing. So if perhaps the MPP can raise their diplomatic communication on the whole LGBT thing, perhaps it would raise the engagement in terms of MPP versus NDC. What more are they doing than standing against LGBT values? That's a conversation to be.
So if LGBT was not part of this elections, could the outcome have been different? Could it have turned on something else, whether development, whether roads, whether courts? Could it have turned on something else, do you think?
From what we were hearing on the grounds and the kinds of slogans we were hearing as we were going around, it looks as though if the LGBT thing hadn't come in, perhaps things might have gone differently. Perhaps, because the slogans were really strong. So it's not as though it was a small issue. It looks as though it was a big thing. The public support for him. The second one is a bit more interesting in terms of an apparent concern raised against the opponent, Charles Opoku, that apparently if he was elected into parliament, he would work towards torpedoing the Comprehensive Family Values Bill, aka the anti-LGBT bills. That balls to support, because on the grounds while we're there, we saw a lot of people saying that a vote for Jachi Kwesin is a vote against LGBT. They were using less decent language, so I'm sort of paraphrasing what they said. And apparently that sentiment was really strong. It was as though voting for Jachi Kwesin was sort of stamping your concerns, your cultural values down as a Ghanaian. Perhaps that narrative, whether or not true that that's what Charles Opoku was going to do, played a role potentially in this situation.
And that's interesting. Yeah, Ibrahim, in terms of the voting here, the people who are voting, are they NDC people, MPP people, or you find that there are floating voters in there?
So there are NDC, of course, NDC and NPP voters who are the majority. And you look at there are also floating voters. If you look at the Info Analytica, their survey that they released, you realize that they said about a substantial number of people had not decided who they are going to vote for. I think that this number of people probably decided where the elections should go. So earlier I was doing some research about the constituency, and I was told that in this constituency they look at personalities more than political parties. So it is more of